What's up, and welcome back to Rumor Has It Official. So we're going to get straight into talking about 90 Day Fiance. This is season 6, episode 2, Young and Restless. And I'm going to start off with Colt and Larissa. So after weeks of waiting, Larissa receives her visa, finally. And Colt seems to be very nervous for her arrival, for her to meet his mother. And he's just kind of worried if she's going to like Vegas as a whole. Colt revealed that he also shares a vehicle with his mother. His mother says she's very nervous and she's sad that things will change a bit between her and her son. At dinner, Colt talks about where Larissa will sit when they have dinner. And his mother says she can deal with the change, but she feels sad being or feeling left out. So next scene, Colt is seen shaving up for Larissa's arrival. He later checks his flight, and when he goes downstairs, his mom is checking the flight as well. She seems sad. You can tell that she's really sad, and she says, she'll back off slowly, but it will hurt if she's no longer needed. I can kind of understand because for so long, all they've had is each other. And I stand to be corrected because in my last review and recap of this show, in episode 1, I stated that he lived with his mom. But in this episode, Colt stated that his mother lives with him. So his mother lives with him. And like I said, his father passed away. So I could kind of understand, over the years, all they've had is each other. And they've grown this strong bond and looked out for each other. So I kind of understand, and I know he loves his mother, but I think that way before this show, there should have been some type of transition that happened, slowly preparing her for this change. I feel like she should have her own place, a nice place, and they should definitely have their own vehicles. Moving forward, Colt heads to the airport to pick up Larissa, and as soon as Larissa arrives, she's like, "Where's my flowers?" Like she's asking him, "Where's my flowers? You didn't give me flowers." And it's obvious she was expecting a grand greeting from him. And I think he, in return, was expecting the same thing. But all he got was a hug and her basically feeling some type of way because he did not greet her with any flowers. Larissa says Las Vegas is nothing like she expected. And she said she confused it with Beverly Hills or New York. And I don't see how she would confuse the two. When you got a cell phone, you got Google, you can Google his area where he stays and kind of get familiar with what to expect. So I don't see how she confused that. And needless to say, she was not impressed. She went as far as to say that Vegas was a nightmare. Colt kind of ended the segment by saying that he's terrified to bring her home to his mother and his cats. So moving on to the next couple, we have Jonathan and Fernanda. It's the next morning, and Jonathan is still paying for Fernanda finding the female's thong in his dresser. Jonathan tries to apologize, and Fernanda wants to know, where did it come from? And basically want to know, why is it even still in the dresser? So Jonathan says, they're from an old girlfriend from years ago. And Fernanda says she needs more respect, more than an apology, for him to realize that, she's given up so much just to be with him. Jonathan begs for her to give him another chance, to prove that he can be trusted. And all I could say is, I don't know what's more gross, the fact that this man didn't even take the underwear out of the dresser, or that he hasn't cleaned the dresser in years. Fernanda decided to give him another chance and just forgive. Next, in the next scene, Fernanda's going to meet some of Jonathan's friends and family. Fernanda's very nervous, but everyone, once she gets there, everyone greets her and welcomes Fernanda with open arms. And of course, Danny is there. Now, I'm just going to let y'all know I really got some issues with Danny, because I feel like, well, I shouldn't even say I have issues with Danny, but I just feel like we need to watch her closely, because something tells me that her and Jonathan used to have something, because remember, she did say they were the only two singles out of their whole group of friends. Everybody else is married or has someone. So I gotta watch for eye on her, because I feel like she does not want Jonathan to be with Fernanda. So moving forward, the questions start pouring in after, you know, they sit down at the table and they're eating, and they bring up his single life, which Fernanda really doesn't care to hear about. She said that over and over again in her one-on-one time with the camera crew. You know, she does not want to hear anything about his past. And they also jokingly bring up her age. Jonathan continues on with his bogus story of not knowing that she was 19, but I honestly feel like he did know her age from the very beginning. But he says he didn't, so okay, whatever. They also wanted to know if they're ready to get married, and they even touched on some concerns in regards to Mexico and what's currently happening. But all in all, they ended up having a really nice and positive dinner. There was no drama that night. We finally have been introduced to the last couple, and I'm just trying to figure out why TLC didn't include them in the introduction of meeting the cast. Why they waited to the second episode to then include Steven and Olga. Steven is 20. He's a waiter at a restaurant. He didn't graduate from high school, and he's been arrested. So he's basically had a troubled past. He's still considered a kid. You know, at 16, he says his mom kicked him out. And so just moving forward to how him and Olga met. For the summer, he spent a lot of time at this beach. That's where he met Olga. Olga was only there visiting for the summertime, basically to speed it up and basically to give it to you guys how they gave it to us. They were intimate, and then shortly after, while she was still on vacation there for the summer, Olga found out that she was pregnant. My thing is, if you're gonna do what you're gonna do, at least protect yourself, and they're just not thinking. He wants Olga to move to the US so that they can raise their baby together. They have applied for the K1 visa, and they plan to get married. Steven is traveling to Russia so that he won't miss the birth of the baby. He seems like a good kid to me, and things seem to have been extremely hard for him as a kid. You know, sad circumstances where, like I said, he's lost his father. So I just feel like sometimes kids don't know how to deal with certain situations if maybe they're not given the proper tools on how to deal or grieve in situations like that. And sometimes they begin to lash out because they're angry. They don't know where to put those emotions and feelings. So they lash out and they do things and they don't make great decisions. So I think that's his story. That's what I'm kind of getting from it. He also seems like he's willing to do whatever it takes to step up and be a father, which is, I think, is great. The fact that he's going to go to Russia just to be there for the birth of the baby, I think that's very, very responsible and good on his part. So the day has come for Steven to go to Russia. His grandparents drive him to the airport, and while on the way to the airport, they have some questions. When they drop him off, they add that Steven is a tough kid, but it will definitely be an experience for him, which it will. Anybody that has never had children before and they really just don't have it together in life, something like this, having a kid, when you're just trying to figure out you and figure out what you're going to do, figure out your path, it's definitely a lot harder to add on having kids on top of that. He's just a kid himself. He gives his goodbyes to them and heads in to check in. His grandmother told the camera crew that Steven is very immature, but Steven said he realizes that he does have some growing up to do. So I'm going to move on to the next couple, which is Kalani and Asuelu. So it's Kalani's 30th birthday, and once Asuelu is here, she says that she'll feel complete. She's looking forward to that support from him because she's basically been doing this all on her own as far as raising baby Oliver, along with the support of her family. Her mother's concern is Asuelu's intentions. She said, you know, she's very shocked. She was very shocked at the news of her daughter being pregnant because she was raised to wait until marriage to have sex. Moving forward, Kalani heads to go pick up Asuelu at the airport. Kalani said that if things don't work out, she would have wasted time, money, and lost a relationship. More importantly, her son's father. Asuelu arrives, and it blew me away when he first spoke because his voice is nothing like I expected it to be. He sounds like a little kid. Like when he came around, he was like, "Hi, Kalani." You know, he just had like it was even more. I can't even do it because I have more of like a deeper voice, but his voice was so much of a kid, like a little kid. It has no baritone to it, no nothing. I got more baritone than this man. And he greets her with a hug and a song. Then he takes it extremely far by giving her a extra dance, as he says. This kid in the middle of the airport takes off his clothes and begins to do a tribal dance for her. All of the people in the airport, they have their phones out recording, and Kalani looks extremely embarrassed and uncomfortable. She's standing there like, I don't know what's happening, like in her little Kim Kardashian voice. She's just, you could tell she's very embarrassed because she almost looks like when a turtle goes back into its shell. She just looks so uncomfortable in her body language, you can tell it. So after he does his performance, he's rolling all on the germ-infested airport floor. Oh my gosh, that was killing me. He finishes his routine, and when he's done, a lady at the airport said to him, "If things don't work out with her, let me know." Kalani said what he did embarrassed her because she doesn't like being the center of attention, as if the big tail cameras following her around aren't embarrassing enough. So Asuelu expresses that he felt bad that he wasn't there for Oliver's birth, and it will be an adjustment for from his normal routine to caring for a baby, which it will be. But I think that he seems like a really nice kid. I think that he's going to do well because at least he has the heart and the desire to be there. No one is forcing him or twisting his arm to be there. He wants to be there for his son. So moving forward, Kalani's mom is very welcoming to Asuelu and very sweet, just very genuine. She seems like a very sweet woman. But the true test will be with her father and sister, since they are not the greatest fans of him. In my opinion, so far, Asuelu seems to be very, very, very sweet, like a very sweet, genuine guy, but we shall see. Our next couple is Erik and Leda. So Erik heads to JFK Airport to pick up Leda. Again, this couple has only spent a total of 23 days together. Leda is only 8 years older than his oldest daughter, and she's bringing her son as well to be with her and Erik. And Erik says that he plans on adopting her son. So Leda's sister is coming just to make sure that Leda and her son settle well with Erik. They want to scope things out. And Leda says her dream is to be a doctor in America. So there it is. There it is. We have all been saying something is not right about her. We're trying to figure out what exactly it is. What is it about her? Because if you come from wealth, why would you go to somebody who's living a mediocre life? Someone who is basically just getting by or needs their daughter to pay half of the rent to make it. So what is it? What is it about her? And she said it. Her dream is to be a doctor in America. That is the reason why she is with Erik, to live the American dream and live out her dream. Leda's sister says her concern is only her nephew. I mean, it's her sister too, but they're expressing really the nephew. They want to make sure he's going to be in a safe and loving environment and that he will be provided and taken care of. They load the luggage. Once they arrive at the airport, Erik and Leda hug, kiss, greet one another. Erik puts her son on his shoulders and somewhat kind of halfway speaks to her sister, kind of halfway. And once they transition out to the car, to the vehicle, they load the luggage, and Leda starts to have a big fit while Erik is loading the luggage about the way he's putting the luggage in his trunk. All I kept hearing this woman say is, It has to be improper. It has to be improper. It has to be improper. No, please, 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 please. Like she's throwing a serious tantrum over the luggage. And the whole time I'm thinking like, what is the proper way to put luggage in a car? I didn't understand. It was so much luggage. He was trying to make it work. And she just kept going on. It has to be improper. It has to be improper. I mean, I was just like, how many times is TLC going to continue to play that over and over again? I just really wish they would make it stop. So basically what I got from her is very childish and spoiled. Those are the words I have to describe Leda so far. Erik gets a cabin in Pennsylvania until Leda's family arrives because it's cheaper. And Leda, you could tell she's not happy with that. I think she wanted to stay in New York, but he's like, it's too expensive to do that, so it's more affordable if we just stay in this cabin I got in Pennsylvania. So as soon as they get to the cabin, it's like he's rushing the little boy to bed. You know, okay, it's time to go to bed. You know, really just like, okay, they just walked in the door. He tries to like almost like take the lead in putting him to bed instead of allowing her to do that. So he puts him to bed, and so the sister kind of intervenes and she decides to stay in her room with her nephew. The next morning, Erik gets up to make breakfast burritos for everyone. And Leda starts talking about her maids and chefs back home. She even mentioned wanting some chicken porridge. Now, I'm going to have to Google this because I don't know what no chicken porridge is. When I think of porridge, I think of Goldilocks and the Three Bears or something. Porridge, I ain't heard from that in a long time. Or I think a Little House on the Prairie, you know. But she said chicken porridge. So that's what she wanted. He was like, but I'm making breakfast burritos. So he shut that down real quick. So moving on, Leda's sister, Reyna, sits down with them. And she says her sister can be an awful person when she doesn't get her way. And I can kind of see a little bit of that. When I first seen a little snippet on TLC's page, I seen a little snippet. And when she said that, I was like, oh, that's real rude to say that about your sister, that she could be an awful person. But I see what she's saying. Leda seems to be very, very spoiled. She is very, very spoiled by her family. She still was living with her parents, and they were pretty much providing and taking care of her and her son. And so just by the little incident with the luggage, I can see that when something is not going her way, she gets a serious temper tantrum. And something tells me by the way that Erik was handling her and talking to her, not giving in to her tantrum, this wasn't something new to him. Maybe she's done this before. So her family is coming to see where they will live and where she'll work. And if Erik doesn't provide a good life, they won't allow her or her son to be there. But Erik said that he's not going to let that happen. So he seems to have a real bad attitude. That means that some talking has been going on. Leda says that her family is controlling. Maybe they just feel like she's not independent enough. I mean, if you are more independent, then people won't feel the need to have to control you or dictate everything you do. So maybe that's your problem of why your parents are so controlling, because you don't do nothing. Like, she doesn't do anything. So Erik seems to have a little attitude while telling Reyna, you know, I'm going to provide a good life for them. And with the camera crew, he says, Reyna, I think this is what he said, that she can kick sand. Something in that frame, like she can kick sand. Just very, very rude and nasty. I don't know what's up with him, but I got a feeling I'm not going to too much like this couple. They're already irritating me. So I'm going to move on to Jay and Ashley. So after months of waiting, they're at the end of the K1 visa process. He just has the interview part left, and that interview will determine if he'll be able to come over to the US with Ashley. So Jay heads to pick up Ashley from the airport because she is going to come to Jamaica, you know, just to kind of prepare him for the interview. Jay says that he's going to miss Jamaica and tells Ashley not to worry about the interview, but to focus on having a bit of fun. So Jay tells her that, you know, he's got a surprise for her and he gets a hotel for her to stay. Ashley says she feels the pressure to keep him satisfied. So moving on, it's the day for Jay's interview. He keeps bringing up the fact that he's worried that they will think that he's only using Ashley to get to the States. The more he says that, the more he makes it obvious that that is his true intent, and that's just what I feel. So fast forward, Jay gets back and he has been approved for the visa. And after he's approved, he's like, let's celebrate, let's get a drink. And I'm thinking to myself, like, aren't you 12? How are you getting a drink? And she even kind of said very slyly under her breath, like, oh, you can drink type of thing, because he's still considered a kid. But that concludes this recap of 90 Day Fiance Season 6, Episode 2, Young and Restless. I hope that you guys enjoyed this recap. If you did, let me know by giving this video a big thumbs up. Share this video with a friend who also watches 90 Day Fiance. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so that you'll be notified on the next time Rumor Has It Official uploads. Comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this episode. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.